This is Soundbites, Alarmable Sounds video series where we dive deep into our favorite moments of our favorite pieces. My name is Alan Pierson, I'm the conductor. I have been obsessed with Ligeti's Piano Concerto ever since I was an undergrad, and my favorite spot in the piece is the climax of the third movement. The music here gets wild and intense and kind of unhinged. There's actually a ton of really dramatic music in this concerto, but I can't think of another spot that involves so wide a range of different kinds of music happening all at once. Ligeti has three distinct layers of music here, each on its own journey. The solo pianist and percussionist are doing an African drumming rhythm. The violins are playing this intensely expressive melody, and everybody else is rapidly passing around the room this descending Klangfarben melody. We'll come back later to what a Klangfarben melody is. Getting each of the parts to do its own dramatic thing, but also fit together just right in performance, is a real challenge for me as a conductor and for the whole ensemble. But when it works, it's magical, and that's why I love this spot so much. The first layer is the piano and percussion, and their parts are fiendishly difficult to play. Chris starts out playing a hand drum rhythm that Ligeti got from a bell pattern in Ghanaian drumming. That's a drumming tradition from West Africa. And this Ghanaian drumming pattern underlies the whole section, and it gives the music here a great swinging groove. Meanwhile, John plays a constant, steady stream of maniacally fast notes on the piano, accenting the notes that line up with the drum, so that you can hear that Ghanaian drumming pattern in John's piano part too. Then Chris switches from the hand drum to the xylophone, and he plays his own stream of constant, rapid notes leaping all over the instrument in precise rhythmic unison with John. When Chris first starts playing xylophone, John's and Chris's accents line up so that you hear in their accents that Ghanaian drumming pattern that Chris had played on the hand drum earlier. But as the passage continues, their patterns start to head off in different directions. Chris's shifts to different places in the bar, while John's creates the illusion that he's playing in different conflicting tempos by accenting regularly spaced notes in each hand, like every fifth note in his left hand against every seventh note in his right hand. These conflicting accents between the xylophone and the piano keep the intensity of this first layer building relentlessly through the whole section. And when they nail it, there's this incredible machine gun-like clarity to this piano percussion layer. In contrast to the clean, mechanistic rhythms in the piano and percussion, the violins do something intensely expressive. They play this really passionate melody with dramatic, impulsive leaps and crescendos. It almost sounds like old-school romantic violin music, but Ligeti isn't a romantic composer. He talks a lot about taking blazing hot expressivity and somehow cooling it. And that's exactly what he does to this violin melody. A melody like this would usually be played with a lot of freedom and flexibility, but here the timing is rigidly constrained. The two violinists have to play exactly together and right with the xylophone. So the warmth of the melody gets cooled by the strictly confined timing. This whole violin layer reaches its climax just after the xylophone comes in, and then gradually winds down through the rest of the passage. The third layer involves the rest of the ensemble. To make sense of what they're doing, I want to go back and give a bit of music history. The 20th century Austrian composer Arnold Schoenberg came up with this concept of Klangfarben melody, which means tone, color, melody. The idea is to take a melody and have different instruments pass it around so that the color of the melody keeps changing. The notes themselves aren't particularly dramatic, but what makes this music dramatic is how rapidly Ligeti has the instruments throwing those notes all around the room. Laura will start playing a note on her horn and then quickly fade out, while Tim fades in on the same note on the trumpet. And then he changes to another note and throws it off to Bill on the clarinet. And all of this throwing around happens through these really fast and intense crossfades. The changing harmonies of this layer are constantly coloring the violin melody in new ways. And its dramatic shape is kind of opposite to what's happening in the piano percussion layer. While the piano percussion layer builds intensity through the whole passage, this layer begins with a burst of energy and rapid movement, and then gradually gets slower and slower and lower in pitch. Each of these three layers has so much amazing stuff happening, but the real magic happens in how Ligeti weaves them all together. It is sheer genius. And in performance, this whole soundbite is over in just 30 seconds.